Hi guys and welcome to my video about the Avengers Infinity War. I don't know what to call this because it's not really gonna be a review. It's more gonna be me like talking about it, kind of. I guess that still counts as a review, but I'm just gonna be fangirling more than I'm gonna be analytical, although I have a couple of theories. But I wanted to talk about this because I watched and I was like, damn, I want to talk about it. And my friend and I, we did talk about this for like a good hour afterwards. But it was getting pretty late, so we had to go home after that. But it was really good. I will say, like, I will spoil everything. Maybe not everything, but I'll spoil like 99% of it. So if you haven't watched it yet, just leave now. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So just go. Come back when you watched it, because we're all gonna watch it at some point. I expect that I'll watch it again quite soon, actually. Maybe even tomorrow, because I might go with my brother. But Infinity War. This movie. We wanted this movie for a long time, for years. We've been looking forward to this movie, and at that point you have quite high expectations. Like there the expectation of it just like being really good and really hype, and you have like the character interactions for the first time. But there's also, because it's so big and it's like we're ending the story here. Ending the story. I mean, we still have some more films to go. But we're expecting some people to die, and it's gonna get emotional because we've known some of these characters for 10 years. So it's very emotional. If you went on my Twitter, you will know that I cry quite a lot because everything makes me cry. But let's talk about the deaths first, just because that's like the big thing, and then I'm gonna talk a lot about Thanos, because I think he's really well written, and I think what they did with him was really clever in the amount of time that they had. My brother has said that a lot of people thought that he was badly written, and I'm just like, what did you expect? We'll go into that later. So this is turning into a review, but that's what I'm used to. But the deaths. So going into this movie, obviously I expected people to die. And I will say I expected, like, Vision was my number one. He was dead before the movie started. Like, there was no way he was gonna survive. I also had Gamora as a possible death, just because of how close she is to Thanos. But I wasn't entirely sure. Like, I was like 70% sure she maybe would die. I was also like, we're gonna lose a big main character, and I was like, it's gonna be either Captain America or it's gonna be Tony Stark. Now these are my favorite characters, so I was like, okay, I don't want to lose any of them, but if I had to choose to kill one, I would probably kill Captain America, because I love Tony Stark just a little bit more. He was the reason that I started watching all the movies, because I watched the Avengers when it came into the cinema, like, yeah, in 2012, I think, when we came out. And like, my Marvel experience was like Spider-Man, and that was it. Like the Spider-Man cartoons. Yeah, my brother convinced my mother and I to go to the cinema and watch it, and I was like, wow, I really like this Tony Stark guy. So I watched the Iron Man movies, and then I just went through all of them at that point. At that point, it was like 5 movies. And I was really hooked, and at that point, my favorite character ended up being Captain America, actually. And then I don't know what happened. I still love Cap so much, obviously, but Tony Stark, man, he's the one. But yeah, that was just a little, I got sidetracked. So I thought, either way, I thought Tony Stark or Captain America. And I also thought if Cap died, then Bucky had to die as well, because they had that whole thing with, till the end of the line, whatever. So I thought they were like a package deal. Now, Bucky died, and Cap survived. So that was a big, that was a really, because Bucky was the first to disappear. And that was just like the Steve, and then he disappears, and Steve doesn't disappear, and I was just like, what? You can't separate them? Like, that's just, no. And with Tony, it was like, he didn't just not die. He watched every round around him die. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But other people I thought were gonna die, just to talk about that a little bit. Who else? I just go. Oh yeah, Loki. So Loki was the first one to die. And while it was unsurprising, it was still very emotional. Like I that has cried. Like it 3 minutes into the movie, I cried, and then I stopped crying for like half an hour. Then I started crying again. It was an emotional mess. But yeah, Loki, because I do believe I read somewhere, even though I tried my hardest to avoid spoilers. I'm the kind of person when I go into cinemas and there's a trailer that comes up, that for a movie that I know I will watch, I will sit like this, la 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 la, because I don't want spoilers. Like the Deadpool trailer came out, and Deadpool is like a humorous movie, but I know I want to watch it, so I don't want to know anything about it. Which is probably pretty annoying to the people who sit beside me and don't know who I am. But yeah, so I've been avoiding things, but I believe I read somewhere that they said they would kill people off and not bring them back, because they've done that before with Loki and other characters, where we've thought they were dead for quite some time, like Loki, Bucky, others with E, I don't know. And sure, they're gonna do that with this movie, I'm 100% sure, but it's different, I think. Loki, I think he's done, and I think it was a note by the writers when Thor said like, oh, he's been dead before, but I think this time it's for real, or something like that. I do not remember everything that was perfectly said. I remember like the whole thing and kind of what was said, because obviously I was too busy crying to write stuff down. I took notes for one movie once, not for a review or anything, but for a school project. And it's kind of distracting. You just want to enjoy the movie. So yeah, Loki, I was pretty sure, like, if he died, it'd be, like, for real. And he was probably a big candidate to die just because, as much as I wanted him to, like, be that awkward Zuko-esque character who comes back after having been a villain, and tries to, like, get along with the heroes now that he's good, I think it would be too much drama to like also have that should we trust Loki kind of thing, because you should never fully trust Loki, but it was a really nice way the way that he went out. I really like when he introduced himself as Loki Odinson. That was just, because I really like that he acknowledged the fact that no, I'm not Asgardian, but I am still Odin's son. So like that, it's like he finally came to terms with his identity, and he used his trickery to help Thor, and then he died for it. And he died because he chose Thor over the Tesseract. Like, that was the best death he could have gotten. So, yeah, that was really good. And obviously I cried, because who doesn't love Loki? He's very charming. And who else? I think that was pretty much, like, what I had. And then I was scared for, like, some of the non-main characters, like the people who either haven't had like their own movie or weren't in the first Avengers movie. So Okoye was like one of my, I was so scared for her the entire time, because she's so badass and I wanted her to live so badly, and she did survive. But on the topic of deaths, I pointed out to my friend that if all of these characters here had to like pick one person that they would like die to protect, they would do anything to save and protect and keep this person happy, they watched that person die in front of their eyes, or they died themselves. Like, Thor lost his very last family. The last family he had left, he lost all of his people. He lost Heimdall. Like, why would you kill him? Like, it's just saw Heimdall with, like, the spike in his arm. I was, no, I love him. And Marvel has such a cool take on Heimdall, like, in Norse mythology, or not like in Norse mythology, but like, we had a series, like a Christmas series in Denmark about, like, Norse gods and stuff, and our Heimdall is like a bumbly, kind of guy, like, very, I don't want to call him humorous, he's just kind of like, you know, the class clown kind of guy, and he still has the same abilities, like he guards the Bifrost and he can see everything and all that stuff, but he's just like a bumbly fool. So I really enjoy Marvel's Heimdall, but now he's dead, and that's very sad. I'm getting sidetracked again, but yeah. So Thor watched Loki die. Steve watched Bucky die again. Like, poor guy. Why? Okoye watched T'Challa die? Like, what the heck? And it was just, my friend was like, he just told her this is not the place to die, and then he dies. What? And then Scarlet Witch and Vision. There's something I knew from the comics. Not that I read the comics at all, but I knew that they had like a thing. And of course with the trailer it was kind of like confirmed that it was happening. But it was just so sad to see that she struggled so much with the idea of killing him, even though she knew it was for the greater good. And then it finally came down to her having to kill him, and she does it. They achieve their goal of not having Thanos get that last Infinity Stone. And then he just goes back in time and kills Vision by taking the stone, like making Scarlet Witch go through all that pain of killing him herself, to then watch as everything she did was in vain, and then to see him die again, but for no good cause this time. It was horrible. I cried so much. That was really horrible, because they struggled so much that entire movie. Then you had, oh my god, Quill, and I'm gonna call him Quill because we have two Peters. I'm gonna go by, I don't know how, Peter Parker. I'm just Quill. Quill had that thing with Gamora where he promised to kill her, and he then failed to go through that promise, not because he didn't try, but because his thing turned into bubbles because of the dumb reality stone. And then her death became what led to Thanos getting the Soul Stone and the Time Stone. Fucking hell. You also had, and this is the saddest damn thing, because I said I just wanted Tony Stark to survive, but I didn't want him to survive like this, because he watched everyone around him die. I don't believe there's anyone left on that planet. He's stranded on Titan. But because his worst fear was always to see everyone die, to not being able to prevent death of the people he loved and people he wanted to protect, and to be the only one left. Like, that was the whole thing with Ultron, even though that movie sucked. But it had some good parts, but it had equally bad parts. But his worst nightmare literally came true. And the worst thing about it was Peter Parker's death. He was sworn to protect this kid. He wanted nothing more than to protect this kid. And he tried to get her away from the spaceship, and he failed. And he was like, okay, you're an Avenger now, so just don't get yourself killed and stuff like that. And the boy, he just started like, I'm not feeling good. And he falls into Tony's arms, and he just starts saying, I don't want to die. And then he says sorry, and then he disappears. And that's the saddest goddamn thing. I'm gonna cry again. Oh my god. That was probably the saddest moment in the entire movie. That was really, really bad. And of course you also had like other sad moments with you also Rocket lost Groot again. Just no. Everything with Gamora was just sad. Like, what the crap. Like, she had to choose between Nebula and giving Thanos access to the Soul Stone. And she chose to save Nebula. Yeah. That just, again, and she had to go through with, like, all of Thanos' things, and just when she thought that he couldn't get the Soul Stone, god damn it. Like, the realization, her actor's so good. I do not remember her actor's name, but she's so good. Just the realization in her eyes was just, god damn it. That was very touching also, because everything about this movie was touching. I cried over everything. And I think one of the reasons that I cried so much was because like, it started off with Loki dying, and from that point I was just like in an emotional set of mind, and because they also had like those humorous moments in between, because I think I cried just as much as I laughed. But it goes from being like really lighthearted, and then someone gets stabbed, and you're just like, oh well, now I'm sad. So you just it's made to make you cry. It's made to make you very emotional. With those like very few happy parts. It's not even happy, it's just like jokes, and it's like, we're laughing because something bad's gonna happen soon. Yeah, that was, but I'm gonna go back to like the death thing, because I think we all know that the people who disappeared in the end, they're gonna come back, because just from a meta standpoint, like, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's confirmed, but by the end of Doctor Strange, it seemed very much like they were getting a second movie. I believe there's a second Black Panther being confirmed. And I think there should be another Spider-Man, maybe not in production, but like they're thinking about it. So that's at least 3 characters who are dead, who have another movie coming up, so obviously they can't be dead. And that, I'm just gonna talk about that theory now, I think, just because I was like, okay, this is the only, this makes a lot of sense. And I think everyone has probably figured this out, but just in case you're like, how would they come back? Like, what is the reasoning here? And is it all bullshit? Well, it may be. It's probably gonna be Thanos using the time stone again. But, and I'm gonna go into why he might do that, but I think the reason that it makes sense is because, Doctor Strange went into that, I'm gonna see all the future possibilities and see which one we win. And he was like, out of these 14 million ways to do it, we win 1. And when he died, he said, this is the only way, or this was the only way, or this was something like that. Which suggests that it's still all going according to what he saw in his vision. And we know from Doctor Strange that the Ancient One, she couldn't see past her own death, but if Doctor Strange has seen, like, further than that, like, if he still says this was the only way, it means that he has seen the future beyond where he disappears, which means this can't be where he dies, because if it was, then he wouldn't be able to see past that, because you can't see the future past your own death. That was established in Doctor Strange. So, that's just, like, the quick theory around why I don't think they can be dead, and why, like, I think the only thing that would make sense if it's Thanos used the time stone, because I don't think we know how far back in time we can go, but he does have, like, with the time stone, he also has the reality stone, and all the other stones, so I'm sure, like, they amplify each other. Cause, yeah, that's the only reason I see for why it's necessary to have all 6 of them, just because I don't see how the time stone would help you murder everyone, just like with what it can do just by itself. So I think it would have to be like, they amplify each other, because otherwise I think he would at most only need 5 of them. And the time stone not being one of them, I don't know. There's probably some lore here, but all I know is from the movies, because I think that's what we should go on. Although I do believe, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of Easter eggs for people who've read the comics. There are other things I should talk about. I really loved, though, there were some call-outs that I really enjoyed. The one where Bruce and Natasha, they they meet for the first time, and I think it's Sam who's like, well, this is awkward. I thought that was a really good shout out to Age of Ultron, where, yeah, that was pretty awkward, because it could also be like, just, oh, it's awkward, they haven't seen each other for a long time, but it's just generally like that's the opinion of the fandom, like, that relationship, I guess. So yeah, I like that, because they kind of have to go with it now that it's canon. I don't know why I did this, because it is canon, I guess. Thanos, that's my next point here. I don't know why I'm doing this as a review. I was gonna talk, like, I don't know. It's a good way to do it, and I'm used to it. I enjoyed Thanos a lot. I'm really happy with how much time they took to just like see things from his perspective, or maybe not from his perspective, but you know, we saw a lot of him, much more, because usually when you have villains, it doesn't even have to be the main villain, but usually it is. It's just there are people who are like, sure, they may have a goal. They may have a goal of taking over this thing because of maybe a cultural thing. Like, let's take Guardians of the Galaxy. You have oh God, what was his name? I've seen this movie so many times. But you know the bad guy there. He wanted revenge on Sandor because culture something and long history war and racism, I guess. Like, there was a cultural thing there, but he was also like kind of insane and like punishing people who didn't need to be punished. And not like, I'm not gonna say Thanos is a good guy, but I'm just like talking about like normal villain here. You also have people like who's another good example. I don't want to say Loki because he's a bit more complex because he goes between being bad and kind of good. What's a good person? First, this is a good one because he comes back. The guy from the first Avenger, the Captain America movie. Power hungry, kind of like the cliche villain, goes after this huge power source just to get more power. And it's just like, generally you have power hungry villains. And I really like that Thanos isn't like that. Thanos is like, okay, I have a goal. To obtain my goal, I need the Infinity Stones, but when I have obtained my goal, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna retire and live on a farm and watch the sun go down. And when by the end of the movie, he obtains his goal, he retires and gets a goat farm and watches the sunset. And I think that's really good, because Thanos may be insane, as they keep saying in the movie, but he's not just doing it to like do it because he's not power hungry. He's not like just destroying things for the sake of destroying things. Like, he's not asserting himself over us. It's like he saw a problem, he found a way to fix the problem, and tried his damn hardest to fix the problem the way he thought it should be fixed. And while fixing the problem involved mass genocide, it was just like a necessary means to an end. Is in his point of view, obviously, is wrong. It's wrong to just murder people. But I really, really enjoyed it because my friend and I did discuss this because she was like, oh, it was kind of annoying how in the movie they kept just like the retort they had to Thanos when they heard his plan or whatever. It was just like, you're crazy. And yes, that was like, they said that a lot. But my counterpoint was like, what else could you say? Because it's like, his goal makes sense. It makes sense. Because yes, it's obviously very wrong to, you should never ever even consider murdering even one person. But it's like the only way to rationalize that you're the good person and he's a bad person, because he's literally like, he's trying to save people by murdering some people by random. Which again, there were other solutions, probably. But he had like that example of like, there was this one place, his home, yeah, I believe it was his home, where there was a problem. He suggested that they just like kill half the population by random, and they all called him insane and crazy, and then they kind of just crumbled, because they didn't have enough resources to sustain a population. Which again, it's true what he says. There, no matter how far you travel in the universe, there are a finite amount of resources. You can't like randomly make stuff. So at some point, if you don't control the number of people there's not going to be enough food, there's not going to be enough like fuel, there's not going to be enough anything. So I thought it was really clever set up that it's like, he has a goal, when he obtains it, he stops. That's it. It's done. And I like, I hate to say that they humanized him, but they gave him feelings. He wasn't a robot, because he wasn't introduced as this like big, and he was shrouded in mystery. Like, his first like appearance was a hand, and then a shadow, and then we saw like him turning around in a chair, and they keep changing actors. I'm not entirely sure, Uh, and then in this movie, his introduction was him beating the Hulk up. Like, what? You don't... He beat the Hulk in a fist fight. What? But then you have the whole thing with Gamora. And again, I cried at half these scenes, and I'm not entirely sure if I cried for Gamora, or for Thanos, or for the entire thing. Because the whole Soul Stone, like, portion of the movie, that was just, like, that was shock and heartbreaking, and just, there were so many things, because you have first the thing with Nebula where she gives in, and she's like, okay, the Soul Stone is here, please don't torture my sister anymore. They go there, and they're met by, I forgot what his name was, Red Skull guy, Hydra guy, I don't know. Is he just called the Red Skull? I'm not entirely sure. Which, wow, plot twist, I did not expect that callback, like, was he not supposed to be dead? Apparently not. Or maybe he's like a shadow of a person, I don't know. So they go there, and the Soul Stone requires the sacrifice of the one who wants to wield the stone, and the sacrifice is the person they love the most. And again, as I said, like, the whole Gamora thing was just so good, because first she starts laughing, it's like, you love nothing, and he turns around crying, and she's just like, no, you don't love me, you don't know what love is. And he pushes her over against the Soul Stone, and you're just like, no. God damn it. Yeah, that was... And I really like the story, like, of when he took Gamora in, because even though we can all agree that what Thanos did is wrong, it's like, it's so interesting the two different perspectives that the two of them had about in that situation, because obviously, like, she was abducted, and although she didn't witness because he turned her around, half the population died. But it's so interesting because he was like, I saved your planet, like, you were starving, you were about, like, this planet was about to go under, and I saved it because I killed half of the population. And she's just like, no, you didn't, you took me away from my mother, my family, my planet, my hometown, like, how was this good, how was this mercy? Because it's really, because, like, in the end, he produced good results, but the way he did it was just horrible and inhumane. Yeah, I really love that. I really, really enjoyed Thanos, because it's like, oh, you're so wrong, but I understand what you want to do, and you're finding a quick, good solution to a problem that everyone has, but it's like, not in this way, like, this is the worst possible way you could do it. Yeah. Do I have more? I feel like there's so much in this movie, and I need to watch it again. It was really good, though. I really, really enjoyed it. Let's go to something more happy. I really enjoyed all the new character interactions. Thor and the Guardians, probably my favorite ones. I like Pirate Angel, that's gonna stick forever. I loved how every single one of them were attracted to Thor, except for Star-Lord. Why Quill? Why did his name escape me, like, for 3 seconds there? I thought that was extremely funny. And just the way he tried to assert himself over Thor, I loved that. That was really good, especially after all the shit that had happened. Yeah. But that was really good. There was also, I think just Quill interacting with anyone was good. That, like, the whole, the entire time on Titan with the Guardians there, minus Groot and Rocket, with Tony Stark, Peter Parker, I was about to call him Peter Pan, I don't know why, Peter Parker and Doctor Strange, and briefly Nebula. I thought that was some really good interactions as well, even though, like, there wasn't too much humor right there because we were getting to the end of the movie and it was getting quite serious. Not that the movie wasn't overall very serious, but we had more funny moments in the beginning. I also just want to share, like, one of the best, like, a good cinema experience, because we're Danish. We're from the Nordic countries. When Thor appeared in Wakanda, the entire cinema started clapping. That was like, cause obviously we had like all the people were crying, people were laughing at all the like the humorous things, and then when Thor appeared in Wakanda, we all started clapping. And I'm just like, wow, we're so Danish. Because obviously that's our hero right there. So that was just like, because I don't know, like, there are probably like so, like, for some franchises and things, like, I always imagine like if you watch like Justice League or something, like that's a big thing whenever Superman appears. I don't know, because he's a thing in America. Like, Americans really love Superman, and I'm not entirely sure why it's Superman, but someone feel free to explain. I don't know. I'm just a dumb non-American who doesn't understand the appeal of Superman for Americans. Yeah, so that was a really good experience, because we're all just like, yes, Thor! Everything in Wakanda was really good as well. There were some good moments. There were, the fights were really, really good. It was really good to have this movie like so close after Black Panther, just because everything about the movies was just so good. We didn't see, I don't think we saw Shuri after the blast inside her lab, which just makes me scared. Shuri is like, she was definitely like possibly my favorite character in all of Black Panther. I thought she was so witty and just such a sweetheart, and just, I love her. I love her, smart little girl. What else? What else is worth to talk about? Because I feel like I've like touched most of the things now. I just really enjoyed this movie. And yeah, it was also really good, like, catching a couple of people up, like, with things. Just having Bruce there, like, you and Captain America had a falling out. Like, I don't care if you don't talk anymore. We have Thanos coming after us. You go call him. So yeah, they needed Bruce to have been there for Civil War. Bruce and Thor, they would have dissolved the entire disagreement, and we wouldn't have had a movie, and everything would have been happy, and they would probably have stopped Thanos, because they were not divided, they were united. I don't know. I have one more thing I want to talk about. Oh right. No, wait, I don't know. I think I counted like how many people were dead, and I think it's like 12 if you include the people who whooshed, maybe even more, because we also had the end credit scene with Nick Fury and Maria Hill. That's their names, right? Oh, and by the end, what's her name? Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, I don't know. My friend checked this, and supposedly Nick Fury called for her by the end of the movie, which, because I don't remember when her movie is about to come out. I think it's next year. So I'm assuming she's gonna be in the next Infinity War and help them all. I don't know too much about her, but I'm excited. So yeah. Okay, I've been talking for half an hour now. I thought this movie was really good. Yeah, I thought it was really, because it was very, very action-packed, with every action scene almost ending in like some sort of death or something horrible happening. Also, really nice cameo from Peter Dinklage. I did not know that. Again, I didn't know much about the movie going into it. But I was like, oh, is that Peter Dinklage? And my friend was like, is that Peter Dinklage? Like, that is Peter Dinklage. That was really good. The irony of him being like a giant dwarf, just big enough to crush Thor with his feet. Really good. And the movie looked really good, I think. I had someone ask if like the CGI was good. I don't remember if it was like a person or like my brother. Not that my brother is not a person, but you know. And I don't believe I had an instance where I was like, wow, the CG is really heavy, because I feel like by the end of Civil War and no, by the end of Civil War, I had like that feeling like, okay, the CG is getting a little heavy. Like it's at this point, because you always know what is CG and what kind of. There's always things like where you're like, okay, this is definitely CG, but it's like when there's the illusion that you have to tell yourself that it's CG to know that it's CG, then it's really good. In this movie, I did it like I hadn't the word CGI didn't even cross my mind, which is good. Unlike with literally all DC movies I watched. I mean, I don't want to wreck down on DC, but their CGI game could be better. I remember how much it annoyed me in Batman v Superman. But, you know, that happens. And Marvel haven't always been good at it. It's been getting better over the years. And they had a few issues with it in Black Panther with the rhinos, but no. I'm gonna stop talking now. But I thought it was brilliant. I really I did not expect to be as emotional. Like, obviously I expected to cry, because I always cry. It's so easy to make me cry, especially if I'm in the mood for crying. But I did not expect to cry for most part of the movie. And I did not expect for Thanos to be not likable, but like a compelling villain. I expected him to be more flat. I expected to see less of him. And I expected more hope. Like, I remember, like, by the end of the movie, it's like, Thanos will return, and I was just like, I feel betrayed. I wanted the Avengers will return, not Thanos. What kind of shit is this? You can't. There was no glimmer of hope by the end. It was just like, we've lost. No hope. There isn't even like the Avengers will return. Iron Man will return. Captain America will return. It was Thanos will return. Yes, that was it's just the last stab in the heart. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm sure there are gonna be people who are gonna be negative about it, but there always are. And I'm generally a very positive person, which I'm sure annoys some of you, because you're like, I'm sure there are some people who are like, you don't say anything negative about anything ever. I'm just like, no, because I'm a positive person. And I'm sure you can find negative people out there if you really want people to see being negative. I don't know. But yeah, I am generally very positive in my thoughts. Like, I will call out things that I think are really, really dumb, but like, usually I try to see the bright side of things, just because I ruined Dressrosa for myself when I started hating it. But yeah, I'm gonna stop talking, so you can leave a like, I guess. Leave in the comments below what you thought of the movie. I'm expecting a lot of you by the time I upload this haven't seen it, so if it's been like 3 months and you're like, oh, I don't want to comment because it's been so long. If you feel like you want to comment and it's like 2021, leave a comment. Just because I will probably read it, and I'll probably answer as well, because I thought it was really, really good. And of course you can say something negative about it if you want. Of course I don't think your opinion is valid, but you know, I'm joking. Okay, but bye!